At the family reunion, my younger sister took my boyfriend by the arm and beamed as she told everyone they were getting married. The room was filled with distinguished guests, and I, dressed in a monk's robe, met everyone's gaze with a calm expression. Bah, I said. I am a monk. The story of Charlotte, the eldest daughter of the Moore family, being forced by her family to become a monk had long been known to everyone. My dad is a Buddhist. To what extent? Every year, he travels across the country to attend Buddhist rituals, goes on foot pilgrimages with senior monks, observes fasting retreats, and has donated hundreds of millions to build temples. He's a successful businessman and an industry tycoon, as well as the eldest brother of our Moore family. Influenced by him, the entire Moore clan practices Buddhism. In every company owned by the Moore family, there's a dedicated altar for Buddha statues. On the 1st and 15th of each lunar month, my uncles and aunts burn incense there punctually, with immense devotion. My younger sister May, along with my female cousins, are even well known as Buddhist socialites in the celebrity circle. They all fear my dad. He's a serious man who rarely smiles. In his younger days, he was decisive and resolute. He started businesses with his younger siblings, and everyone listens to him. So even though he turned to Buddhism in his middle age and stopped interfering in company affairs, my uncles and aunts still fall completely silent the moment he frowns. They fear him, so they all follow his lead in practicing Buddhism. I don't fear him, but I'm not close to him either, and I don't believe in Buddhism at all. As is common knowledge, my name is Charlotte, and I'm the eldest daughter of the CEO of Moore Family Industries. Following the expected life path, after graduating from college, I joined our family company and worked my way up, with the plan that I would take over the Moore family's building materials business someday. Mason, my father, has no sons. I only have a younger sister named May, who was born to my stepmother Ava. As for my biological mother, she passed away a long time ago. Ava and my aunts and uncles all seem very kind to me, chatting and laughing warmly whenever we're together. But no one's a fool. When it comes to the family business, talking about family ties in the face of profits is absurd. So when my father proposed that I shave my head and become a nun at Daoqing Temple's nunnery, not a single person objected. I was utterly shocked, and completely unable to accept it. But my dad didn't see anything wrong with it. The Moore family has a karmic connection to Buddhism, and the family fortune we've built is all thanks to the Buddha's blessing. Earlier this year, he was in poor health. Monks at the temple chanted sutras to expel evil spirits and rid him of bad karma. After he recovered, he had a moment of enlightenment. And that enlightenment led him to want to send his daughter to become a nun. He believed this would be a great blessing for him, Mason, as well as for me, Charlotte, and the entire Moore family. As for why it had to be me? Because I'm the eldest daughter of the Moore family, and also because I don't believe in Buddhism. The eldest daughter of the Moore family must serve the clan. The eldest daughter of the Moore family who doesn't believe in Buddhism deserves to die. The entire Moore family pressured me to become a nun, demanding that I obey quietly. I resisted. I ran away. I ran away with Tom back then. He was my boyfriend. We'd been together for 4 years. The wealthy circle in Haicheng is small, and Tom's family also runs an engineering business, which has frequent business dealings with our Moore family. We'd been together since college, and our relationship was strong. We'd even planned to get married within the next 2 years. We left everything behind and fled to another city. But less than a week later, my dad sent people to find us. Leading them was Tom's father. Even Tom's parents, who had always been very kind to me, came along. I knew their family didn't dare to offend mine. Tom cried. He knelt in front of his father and didn't look at me. As an only child, he'd been spoiled since he was little. There was too much he couldn't bear to give up. I cried too. In the end, I went back. I let them throw a grand feast, and they publicly invited monks to hold my conversion ceremony to Buddhism. Forcing someone to take the 3 refuges and 5 precepts, to shave their head and become a monk, it sounds absurd. But this is the reality. Reality is this: whoever has the power makes the rules, like my dad. Reality is also this: the Buddha may save those with karmic connections, but he also saves the rich. My Dharma name is Jingyin, and I am a nun at Daoqing Dabo Nunnery. Daoqing Temple, located on the western foothills of Haicheng, has endured vicissitudes for over 1,000 years, falling into ruin and being rebuilt time and again. In the end, it was my dad who took the lead, and a group of wealthy uncles donated money to restore it, adding 8 main halls and 2 pavilions. It's the most magnificent temple in the area, covering 10,000 square meters. It has the largest Mahavira hall and the tallest Buddha pavilion, all glittering with gold. I reside and practice at Yunli Nunnery, which is within the grounds of Daoqing Temple. There are hundreds of bhikkhunis and over a dozen venerable masters at Yunli Nunnery. Being a nun is bitter and tedious. We get up at 4 a.m. for morning chanting, then eat, then attend to Buddhist rituals. After lunch, we do more Buddhist rituals, followed by evening chanting. When there are no rituals, we work in the fields, clean, recite scriptures while circumambulating Buddha statues, or meditate. A year passed like this. I was obedient, and my dad was very satisfied. He came to see me twice. During the first visit, he said, "Charlotte, Dad is doing this for your own good. I asked a monk to read your birth chart before. You have a 7 killings fate, which carries a strong aura of misfortune. You'd harm your parents and end up lonely all your life. Becoming a nun is good for you, and for the Moore family too. So apparently, my mom's death was my fault for harming her." I pressed my hands together in a gesture of respect, my face expressionless. Forgive me, forgive me. My Dharma name is Jingyin. Kind benefactor, please call me Venerable Jingyin. He'd shaved my head, forced me to wear a monk's robe, and now he still tried to manipulate me. Mason frowned, sighed, and left. When he came the second time, I'd had my own enlightenment. I sat with him in meditation and said, "Dad, I want to apply for the master's program at Haicheng Buddhist Academy. Will you help me sign up and make the arrangements?" After a moment of surprise, Mason grew happy and patted my shoulder approvingly. Later, I drove Mason's Bentley back and forth between Daoqing Temple and the Buddhist Academy. Every passerby who saw me would exclaim, "Damn, even nuns are driving luxury cars these days." Mason also tried to give me money. I pressed my hands together and said, "No, no." Venerable Huiming told us to observe the monastic precepts. "Dad, please take this worldly money away quickly." In the second year of my monastic life, while applying for the master's program in Buddhist studies, I would occasionally return to the Moore family. Of course, it was usually only when Mason insisted repeatedly that I'd reluctantly go back, having no way to decline. It's ridiculous, now I'm his dignity. At family reunions, the room would be filled with distinguished guests, glasses clinking non-stop. I'd stand beside him in my gray monk's robe, and everyone would look at me with devotion, pressing their hands together and calling me Venerable Jingyin. But I knew this devotion was absurd. It was like a robe crawling with lice. My younger sister May, in her crystal high heels, had fair skin beneath her seaweed-like long hair, her face bright with a smile. She took my ex-boyfriend Tom by the arm and beamed as she told all our uncles that they were getting married soon. Tom glanced at me only once, then quickly looked away. May smiled softly, the corners of her mouth curving upward, like a beautiful white swan. The white pearl necklace around her swan-like neck, each pearl round and smooth, was as exquisite as the heirloom my mother had left me. Monks are supposed to be free from all earthly attachments, but when I moved to Yunli Nunnery, they wouldn't let me take a single thing of mine. See? The looks everyone gave me were so complicated, filled with pity. Ba, I said. Please don't look at me with such eyes. I am a monk. Monks do not tell lies. The Moore family claims to believe in Buddhism, yet they leave me to grieve alone. That is hardly appropriate. I turned to Mason and said, "Father, Jingyin offers my congratulations to the family. Not long ago, I heard Venerable Master say that many Buddhists now choose Buddhist-style weddings. The couple chants auspicious sutras, the abbot presides over the ceremony to bestow blessings, and they even receive a Bodhi companion certificate. I wonder if my sister would be interested in holding her wedding ceremony in the Mahavira Hall, chanting sutras there? It would also be an opportunity to pray for the Moore family." Mason's eyes lit up at this. He asked for more details. May and her mother, however, slowly turned pale. I kept my face expressionless, maintaining the calm demeanor of a nun. "You're all just a bunch of hypocrites. You should all kneel neatly together in front of the monks, wrapped up tight, and listen to the sutras. This lice-infested robe of the Moore family has always been a joke. It's high time to shake it out." As these thoughts crossed my mind, a faint sneer tugged at the corner of my mouth, only to meet a pair of eyes in the crowd, eyes that held a faint, amused glint. It was Owen. Owen, who had just returned from studying abroad. The son of the CEO of Huanya Real Estate Group. I recognized him. When my mother was still alive, she often took me back to the Lishan Villa in the eastern part of the city. My maternal grandfather's family used to live there. They were neighbors and old acquaintances of Owen's grandparents. Ever since I could remember, I'd go stay at my grandfather's house every summer and winter break. Owen was like a younger brother to me, 2 years younger than I was. Lishan Villa is a high-end residential area for seniors. Every time we visited during breaks, we'd run into some familiar friends. We'd play hide-and-seek and scooter in the neighborhood together, and share our toys. When Owen was little, he was already very good-looking, his eyelashes were especially long, and his mom always liked to give him a bob haircut. He looked so pretty, he could have been mistaken for a girl. The other boys made fun of him for that and refused to play with him. As the older kid, I'd take my sketchbook and ask him to draw with me, or read storybooks together. Later, he'd often come to my grandfather's house to see me. Once, we got so caught up in our ongoing comic series that even when his grandparents came to call him for lunch, he refused to go home. Owen's grandfather would joke with my grandfather, saying, "I might as well just give my grandson to your family." Every time he comes over, the first thing he asks is Sister Charlotte here? Before I entered junior high school, Owen and I were close childhood playmates. Unfortunately, in my first year of junior high, my youngest uncle went bankrupt in his business and committed suicide by jumping off a building. That uncle was my maternal grandparents' only son. All their family assets were seized to pay off debts, and in the end, it was my dad who stepped in to arrange a place for them to live. But by then, my dad's relationship with my mom was already falling apart. I was slow to realize it. Turns out, my dad had another woman outside, and she'd given birth to a daughter who was 3 years younger than me. That daughter was May. Every uncle and aunt in the Moore family knew about this, even my paternal grandparents. Only my mom and I were kept in the dark. Later, they got divorced. My mom refused to take me with her. Instead, she took my maternal grandparents and returned to their hometown in Jiqing. We'd clearly agreed that I could go visit them during my breaks. But not long after that, both my maternal grandparents passed away. My mom's mental state wasn't good, she'd often mutter to herself. Later, through my dad's arrangements, she moved into a nursing home in Jiqing. In those years, I had a heavy workload with school, plus various tutoring sessions and extracurricular classes. Every break, my aunt would take me to the nursing home in Jiqing to see her, but I could only stay a few hours before having to leave. My aunts always say that I was a lively, smiley kid when I was little, but as I grew older, I became quieter, and rarely spoke. What did they know? I was a kid who'd been dying to grow up, desperate to save her mother. But she didn't wait for me to grow up. She died in that nursing home one winter. The last time we saw each other, I was a sophomore in high school. She looked at me with a smile, called me Charlotte, and then put a string of pearl necklace around my neck. She said it was a keepsake her mother, my maternal grandmother, had left her. Now, she'd left it to me. But she could never have imagined that her daughter would later be forced to become a nun, unable even to wear that necklace. When I was a senior in high school, I ran into Owen, who had just started his first year of high school, on campus. We hadn't seen each other in 6 years before that. The once delicate, pretty little boy had grown into a tall teenager. He recognized me and broke into a bright, bold smile. Beneath his neat short hair, he wore a sports headband, his thick eyebrows lifted in a cocky look. "Charlotte, sister, do you remember me?" "I'm Owen," he said. The teenager held a basketball, his movements lazy, and he looked so good he could have stepped out of a comic book. A few boys who'd been playing basketball with him followed beside him. They joined in the teasing, deliberately drawing out their voices to call me Charlotte's sister, too. Owen's face darkened. He kicked them a few times and chased them away. Then he turned back to me, forcing an awkward laugh. "Sis, are you heading to the cafeteria for lunch? I'll go with you." We ate together in the cafeteria. He told me that the year my grandfather's house was seized, we'd made plans to read the new Oshwai comic together that summer. He'd excitedly bought the comic, but never got to meet me, and that volume still sat on his bookshelf, unread. He also said he'd seen me at school a few days earlier. I hadn't changed much, and he'd recognized me right away. He talked on, then leaned back in his chair, rapping his knuckles on the table in annoyance. "Why were you being so quiet lately? You're like a mute." He was right. I barely spoke, just sat there quietly listening to him. It wasn't just with him. Whether it was my classmates, teachers, or anyone in the Moore family, I was always quiet, bad at putting my thoughts into words. At one point, my dad even wondered if I'd lost my voice and took me to the hospital for a checkup. After we left the hospital, I slung my backpack over my shoulder, turned to him, and said, "Dad, I'm fine. I'm not sick." To be honest, Mason has a bit of a temper. Having been in the business world for years, he always carries a sharp, intimidating aura about him. Everyone in the Moore family is afraid of him, even Ava and May. But I wasn't. I looked at him and said, "Dad, I miss Mom." He froze for a second, then reached out and patted my head. "We don't have to go to class today. Dad'll take you to the amusement park, okay?" No, that wasn't okay. He was such a busy man, taking me to the amusement park? It was better not to bother. In my eyes, Owen had always been the neighbor's little brother. When he was little, he'd been such an obedient kid, but now he was full of that bold, reckless teenage energy. I wasn't a kid anymore. Besides, amusement parks are places you go to with both Mom and Dad. After that, Owen and I didn't interact much. But I heard a lot about him. The son of a real estate tycoon, he loved basketball and sports, and was the top student in his grade. He was arrogant, yet he won over teachers, and girls too. Once, I passed by the basketball court on campus just as he was playing. He saw me and tossed the basketball in my direction without hesitation. It hit me square in the face. Back then, the college entrance exam was right around the corner, and the study atmosphere was intense. I'd been suffering from mild anemia, so the hit made my vision blur with stars. My nose started bleeding, and I fainted right there on the ground. Then I heard Owen had been stunned silly that day. He'd almost tripped while running over, then slung me over his back and rushed to the infirmary. My nosebleed had stained his white t-shirt. At the school infirmary, once I'd recovered a bit, he was scolded by the teacher and told to apologize to me. After apologizing, he rolled his eyes in annoyance and muttered, "It was just a light tap. Can't even dodge, weak and dumb." He was disappointed. The lively, cheerful, and vibrant Sister Charlotte he remembered from childhood had turned into a dull, lifeless bookworm. After that, We never spoke to each other at school again. He remained the center of attention, I remained quiet. Later, I got into a university in this city. Not long after that, I met Tom. As the gears of time turn, things change and people are no longer what they used to be, and no one can fight against that. Tom was such a wonderful person back then. He was widely recognized as the most handsome guy in the science department of our university. He was gentle and clean-cut, with clear, handsome features, and a smile as bright and warm as a spring breeze. Our first meeting actually happened at an exhibition. An uncle who was on good terms with my dad ran a red wine trade business and hosted a wine exhibition at the Golden Gate Club. My dad was busy, so I went with my eldest aunt that day. We ordered several million yuan worth of red wine at the exhibition. That's when we ran into Tom's parents, who greeted my aunt. Tom's family had business dealings with ours. Back then, Tom stood right in front of me, hands in his pockets. He smiled at me, then held out his hand. "Nice to meet you, classmate Charlotte." His voice was lovely, clear and deep. He wore a white shirt and black casual pants, and had a tall, slender figure. He looked clean too. His skin was smooth, his features neat, and his eyes under his thick eyebrows crinkled with a constant smile, like ripples on water. Before I even knew him, it seemed he already knew me. He never made a deliberate effort to court me. But after the wine exhibition, I started noticing this person around campus. I saw him often, in the school cafeteria, the library, and club dinners. During college, I started living on campus. Without the pressure of the college entrance exam or family troubles, I became much more outgoing than before. I had friends in my dorm and close classmates in my class. Influenced by their lively personalities, I began to feel that life still held countless possibilities for excitement. And Tom? He was undoubtedly another color that lit up my life. I often saw him at the library. It seemed we both got into the habit of going there to read at fixed times. When we ran into each other, we'd say hello, chat briefly now and then quietly find our own seats. Sometimes if I arrived late, I'd find he'd saved a spot for me, he'd smile and wave me over. Then one day, while I was reading, I felt a warm flush in my lower abdomen. Realizing my period had come, I stood up to head to the bathroom. Tom called out to me. I was wearing a white dress that day. He took off his jacket, walked over, and helped me put it on, a smile in his eyes. "Your dress looks like it got stained," he said. "Go back to the dorm first to change, okay?" His voice was soft. His jacket carried his unique scent, clean, and very nice. I blushed a little and said thank you. When I got back to the dorm and had just changed my clothes, I heard my roommate Hannah push the door open. She walked in, talking loudly, and handed me a bag of stuff. "Charlotte, you little thing, spill the beans. When did you start dating?" And it's none other than Tom from the science department. Tom was the vice minister of the school's literature and art department. He was pretty well known. And the girls in our dorm loved giving famous people nicknames. For example, the minister of the department was a senior who was beautiful but arrogant. Everyone secretly called her Peacock. As for Little Grass, that nickname came from two things. First, he was the department heartthrob, lit. Department Grass, and second, Peacock had a crush on Little Grass. Everyone knew Peacock was chasing Little Grass. Inside the bag Hannah brought was brown sugar ginger tea and heating pads. She said she'd been on her way back to the dorm when she saw Little Grass downstairs, who'd asked her to bring the bag up for me. Hannah was such a blabbermouth. I told her, "Don't go making things up. Tom and I are nothing to each other." "Pfft, so what if you were? You're no less pretty than Peacock, you know? Plenty of people have a thing for you, Charlotte. Little Grass should be secretly thrilled if he could win you over." He never chased me, though, I knew that. And maybe that's why, for some reason, there was a faint twinge of disappointment in my heart. I confirmed my relationship with Tom at the sophomore year's art performance. I'd learned to play musical instruments since I was a kid, and a close female classmate begged me to perform the Blue Danube with her that night. At the gala, the auditorium was bathed in bright lights. She played the piano, and I played the violin. Our performance won a flood of applause. After the show, I went backstage to change. When I walked out of the dressing room, I saw Tom standing at a corner not far away. With him was Peacock. The arrogant, beautiful senior stood on her tiptoes, trying to kiss him, but he pushed her away sharply. I frowned and turned to leave. Then I heard Tom calling me from behind. "Charlotte, wait a minute." His voice sounded a little urgent, but I didn't stop. Instead, I walked faster. It wasn't until we were outside the auditorium that he caught up and grabbed my arm. "Don't get me wrong. I was there waiting for you. I had no idea she'd show up out of nowhere." "Get you wrong about what? And why were you waiting for me?" I cut him off. Ever since I was little, I've always been straightforward. I hate beating around the bush. I could tell Tom had feelings for me, but the way he hid them and wouldn't say it outright annoyed me a little. Maybe it was my cold attitude. He froze for a second, then smiled again, staring straight into my eyes with a serious look. "Are you jealous? Tom, is this some kind of joke to you?" "No. I like you, and you know it. You never said it." "How was I supposed to know?" My voice softened. The dim campus lights fell on my face, which was growing a little warm. I'm sorry. I've wanted to say it this whole time, but I had too many worries. What worries? You know, our families do business together. Most of my family's projects come from the Moore family. I was scared that if I told you I liked you, people would question my motives. He was open and honest, his eyes deep and sincere. But Charlotte, I swear I mean it. Ever since I first saw you freshman year, I've gotten used to watching you quietly. I've wanted to say this so many times, but I was too afraid. Then I realized, opportunities don't wait forever. I'm not the only one who likes you, and I'm terrified of missing you. So no matter what others think, it's enough as long as you know how I feel, right? Right. In that moment, I was absolutely sure, he meant it. Tom liked me, and I liked him too. I didn't believe things like family projects or profit motives could control a person's feelings. We started dating, and we were together for a full 4 years. He treated me incredibly well, so well. When he looked at me, his eyes would light up, and the smile in his eyes never faded. To make Peacock give up, he later resigned from his position as Vice Minister of the Literature and Art Department. About this, he said the role had never been interesting anyway, he'd rather spend more time with his girlfriend. That version of Charlotte in college was healing, little by little. The girl who'd been gloomy because of family changes slowly started smiling more, becoming lively again. Life was supposed to go on like this forever. After graduation, I got a job at my family's company, starting from the bottom to learn every part of the operational process. Tom and I had a great relationship, and we'd even gained approval from both our families. Every time his parents saw me, they were always beaming. They had endless things to talk about and endless gifts to give me. There's no denying that his family did gain more benefits because of this, which sparked some gossip. But as long as the Moore family didn't care, no one else mattered. If I hadn't become a nun, we would have been married by now. I don't blame him, truly, I don't. I believe he really did want to leave everything behind and run away with me back then. But unfortunately, compared to the Moore family, the Toms were far too insignificant. My father could destroy their whole family with just a flick of his finger. Tom was an only child, he had no choice. I just can't understand why. Only a year after I became a nun, he got together with my younger sister May. I've always known May likes to take things that are mine. So it's not really surprising that they ended up together. I heard that on the day I entered the monastery, Tom took a whole bottle of sleeping pills. Before that, he'd already wasted away to a shadow of himself. Heartbroken over love, he'd almost lost his life. And it was my gentle sister who stayed by his side, 2 years, day in and day out, helping him heal, step by step. No one opposed their relationship. Because my father, who claims to believe in Buddhism, already felt guilty toward Tom's family. How ridiculous. He destroyed 2 relationships, 2 lives, but he never felt an ounce of guilt toward me. I am a nun. A nun should be detached from all worldly desires. All my resentment and unwillingness should fade away with each day of chanting sutras and meditating. He did it for my own good, he was not in the wrong. The Buddha delivers all living beings, especially Master Jingyin, who abides by the precepts and has attained enlightenment. Over these 2 years, I've been so obedient and diligent in my practice. I even convinced myself that I'd attained enlightenment, that I'd let go of everything. I'm even applying for a master's program in Buddhist studies. How high my state of mind must seem. No one would ever doubt Master Jingyin, except Owen. At the Moore family's banquet, the hall was filled with distinguished guests, and Owen's parents were also invited. In recent years, the Moore family has grown increasingly prosperous, and has long expanded into the real estate sector. With Huanya Group, they are both partners and competitors. Owen has always been an arrogant man. I remember during my junior year, Tom and I went to a high-end music restaurant for dinner, and by chance, we ran into him. At first, I didn't notice him. I was enjoying the meal happily with Tom. Then, I spotted a Steinway piano on the restaurant's performance stage. The urge to play it struck me, so I went up and played the Blue Danube. I'd always thought this piece was the song that sealed Tom and me together. I played it in a cheerful tune. A musician who was resting on stage couldn't help but join in to liven up the mood. He stepped forward and danced alone. The restaurant's atmosphere reached a peak, and everyone burst into applause. Tom looked at me with soft, smiling eyes. When I finished, he patted my head and praised me. Who knew my girlfriend plays the piano so well too? Of course I do. I've been learning musical instruments since I was a kid, and I can even dance ballet. Didn't you know that? I couldn't help but curl my lips into a smile, feeling quite proud of myself. Just then, I suddenly noticed someone staring at me from across the room. When our eyes met, I realized it was Owen. By then, Owen was in college, even more unruly than before. He had short black hair, thick sword-like eyebrows, and narrow eyes that looked sharp and bold. His nose was straight, his lips thin, his face was so handsome it bordered on outrageous. And his defiance was just as extreme. He'd gotten his ear pierced, and the silver hoop in his left ear glinted brightly. He was wearing a black baseball jacket.